I don't think this is gonna work. Mind if I log on with my laptop instead?
Good evening, and welcome to PWTF's virtual festival, the Untold Voices in Voting. I'm Lauren Fanslau, and I'm a board member for PWTF. This is our 6th annual festival, and we are celebrating the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment. In doing so, we are amplifying untold voices, particularly women activists whose stories were left out of the narrative of the suffragist movement. Even though we are not in a live theater space where this show belongs, we are experiencing America's favorite feminist by Keenya Jackson together. We ask that if you enjoy this experience tonight, please give a donation. The link to donate will be posted in the chat. We pride ourselves on compensating our artists, and we thank our many donors who have made this show possible. We also want to extend our deepest thanks to the Philadelphia Cultural Fund. our 2020 Art and Culture grantee, has allowed us to further our creative work for the good of our community and for all Philadelphians. As we work to amplify untold voices, we would like to recognize that we are on Lenape land. The Lenape people were the native inhabitants of the Delaware, New Jersey, Eastern Pennsylvania, and Southern New York. The history of our Indigenous people is one that we wish to honor, respect, and protect. Before we begin, we would like to share the following. First, please be aware that this play is recommended for audiences ages 14 and up, as it contains adult content and language. Secondly, you, our audience, are an important part of the play. Please note that you've been promoted to panelists, and we encourage you to turn on your video now to engage with the actors throughout the play and when prompted. When you hear audience applause like this, that's your cue to applaud and cheer. The more active you are, the more likely it is that our stage manager, Hannah, will spotlight your video and really make you a part of the show. We do ask that your audio remain muted for the duration of the play, and the runtime for tonight's show is 40 minutes. We will invite you to unmute at the end of the performance to applaud and join us for a talk back with our artists. During this time, we will host a Q&A with you. Please share your questions aloud or type them into the chat box for our artists to respond. Should you think of a question during the show, you may add it to the Q&A chat at any time. For optimal viewing, we recommend setting your Zoom screen to speaker view. This play was produced in partnership with Jowska Playworks, an assembly of playwrights of color who are committed to creating works for the stage that shift the perceptions and inaccuracies about the Africa diaspora by bringing to the foreground stories and experiences that have too long been untold. This partnership celebrates Black suffragists and explores the dominant and lost feminist narratives of the movement. Tonight's performance is directed by Elisa, stage managed by Hannah Spear, and performed by Donovan Lockett, Nicky Khor, and Stephanie Iozzia. For the full festival guide, please see the chat. Thank you all for joining us tonight to amplify untold voices. Enjoy the show.
America's Favorite Feminist by Keenya Jackson. The year is 2026. Donald Trump is still the president of the United States of America, the living space of the reality TV show America's Favorite Feminist. Scene 1. Minnie enters in jeans and a Black Panther Marvel comic t-shirt. A spotlight shines on Minnie.
My Aunt Hallie, oh man, she was forced to reckon with. My cousin Tracy, the one I was telling you about before, her and I would always hang out at Aunt Minnie's house all the time. Some of our cousins thought that she was mean, but really she was just real. Aunt Hallie would tell us stories about everything from Black Panther to the civil rights to Jim Crow. It was a first-hand account of the struggles and love of African Americans. Aunt Hallie was a librarian, and she taught us to be proud of where we came from, to advocate for our people, and we best not get out there and embarrass her. Aunt Hallie also warned us of the dangers that lie ahead, especially for little Black girls. As a child, I didn't take any of that seriously. Tracy didn't either. Maybe
and that's time! Give it up for Minnie!
What? The buzzer didn't go off. Our future cannot be left to only those who can afford an app to vote. All people should be allowed to vote. I will make sure of that as District Woman of Congress 7, and
Oh, she's great, ain't she? But is she America's favorite feminist? Family, friends, Americans. We are down to the last two contestants, candidates, vying to be your state representative for District 7. It doesn't get any more intense than this. Now that we've heard Minnie give a boring, I mean, heartfelt speech, however. Oh, whoopsie. I'm being told that several points, votes, will be taken away because Minnie was wearing a Black Panther t-shirt.
But it's not that type of Black Panther.
Those only pop up after rain showers. You know the rules. No group affiliations. All right. Y'all know and love our next contestant. Here she is, Miss Don't Call Me the K-Word. It's Elizabeth.
Elizabeth enters in what a pageant gown would look like if it were turned into a suit and stilettos.
I am here to show America that feminism can be bold and brassy and fun and sexy.
Elizabeth's votes go up in number.
I learned this from my mom and her mother before her. Both are fierce women. Both are women who believe in women's rights.
Elizabeth's votes go down in number.
But they also believe in our president. Commander-in-Chief has women's best interest at heart.
Elizabeth's votes go up in number.
A woman can still be whatever she wants to be. Some choose to be boring, to wear t-shirts with subliminal messages. I choose.
Elizabeth rips open her blouse to reveal a tight-fitted t-shirt. The words, "Your eyes are here," sparkle across the chest.
To be enticing as well as intelligent.
Crow, her shirt has writing on it.
Yes, indeed it does.
Well, that's not fair. Her votes are going up.
Hey, you know what show you're on? I know. I don't want her to leave either. But you know how this goes. Registered American voters of District 7! Are your apps downloaded? Of course they are. We've dwindled District 7's candidates down from 10 talented feminists to these two, Minnie and Elizabeth. Now, it is up to you to decide which one will receive a cash prize of $250,000 to be used toward a good cause, of course. And which lady will be able to look her best and trade beauty tips on the weekend news show. When did I say that? Where she'll be able to spill the tea with the other women of the House. Of representatives, that is. And of course, who will win a seat in the His House? You watch as our feminists have faced everything from lip sync battles to spelling bees. It's time to find out what their final challenge will be. The final challenge of the 2026 election, and the first time that something like this has happened in our 5-year history. The challenge for our feminists to partake in and for you at home to vote on is to capture enough votes to marry America's favorite billionaire, hip-hop mogul, and the star of How to Make Rap and Ratchetness, Mark Shaybens Hoffman! I know, I can't believe it either. Oh, I wish it were me. Where was I? Oh, yeah. The beauty who wins this final challenge will win it all. And you, registered voters, get to decide. Let's see what Minnie and Elizabeth think. Ladies, how are you feeling about the final challenge?
I'm so excited. This is going to be like the old reality show, The Groom. I just love how the women used to really fight each other to win one man's love, you know?
Oh, I do. And Minnie?
Crow, I'm so lost.
Get found, girlfriend. Snap out of it.
The final challenge usually has to do with an issue that is of importance to the people in the district.
Oh, the 7th District don't want an old maid as their congresswoman.
It doesn't even make sense.
And what is more important than true love? That has been forged in front of millions.
How about the young people in our district who are missing? How about the people in this district who are unable to vote? What about the riots that have begun happening? Again, people are outraged.
We'll be right back with more of America's favorite feminist. For the last damn time, we are not here to talk about your sex trafficking or any of your other agendas. Give it up.
Do I have to remind you how many children, particularly children of color, are missing?
Girl, nobody wants to hear about the upsets of the rejects.
Since when are people of color rejects?
Since forever.
I mean, if everyone in the district were allowed to vote, then you would know the real concerns of the people. They're treated like they aren't even citizens. Everyone should have equal rights.
What rights does anyone have?
What?
Just keep playing the game. Or don't. I'm going to win anyway.
I wasn't talking to you.
We knew what we were signing up for. This is how it works now. The commander-in-chief wants us to keep the registered voters entertained. You have to admit it has more flair than campaigning and debating.
So paying a monthly fee for an app to be allowed to vote is flair? You can't even watch the show without the app.
Like the president says, if people can pay to watch Netflix and HBO, they can pay to watch what is going on in this country. It just depends on what they want to make a priority. Khor, love, will we have to enter into a prenup right away? I mean, Mark Hoffman has already been married 3 times.
Or
Maybe me and ex-wifeys will get our own show. Hoffman's 5. Not that I'm expecting it to end right away.
Do you know how many people in our district are living below poverty? Struggling to survive. They can't even afford to pay to vote.
I bet you they have a BET app. Now, Khor, darling, I want to go over some
why
of the
are you
details.
talking to me? I am not your friend. I don't care. Stick to the script. Watch your mouth and your time when you're doing your individual feats. Just because you can't see me, don't mean that I can't see you. Damn, you witches have totally exhausted my spirit. Till tomorrow.
You cannot be serious.
What was I supposed to do?
Since that monster has been in office, people have had their right to vote slowly stripped away from them. Now it's pretty much gone altogether. Assembling in groups of more than 10 is a federal offense.
Not true. I went to a tailgate for a virtual baseball game last month. There were at least 100 people there.
5 black people can't stand on a corner at any given time.
That's loitering.
Aha! Yet getting drunk and pissing on tires is just what? Pre-gaming? They use any little reason to throw us in jail. The last quarantine was 2 years ago, but it is still being used as a tactic so that people can't organize and fight back.
It's for people's safety. Who knows what another pandemic will do to our society? Our economy has suffered enough.
That's a load of crap, and you know it.
Assembling in large crowds turns to riots. You just said so to camera.
Stop just twisting my words. And speaking of words, what happened to the both of us wearing political graphic tees?
I'm wearing a very graphic tee.
Once again, you leave me out on Front Street.
I don't know what that means. I had a last-minute change of heart.
No, you are not gonna just sit there and tell me truthfully that you're okay with letting this show pimp us out to some old millionaire.
Billionaire?
Oh, same difference.
Not if you can count.
Is that all you care about? 250K isn't enough?
I got bills.
What'd you say? You got bull?
This is a chance to elevate myself and my family. $250,000, a steady job with health benefits, was going to take me to the next level. Now, I've never even allowed myself to dream at a billionaire level.
You're okay with selling out.
I've sold out for much less. Don't act like you're so innocent.
I know that families shouldn't have to choose between paying their electric bill and paying their voting bill. You said it yourself. Your mother couldn't watch the show or vote last week because she didn't pay her bill.
Once I win, she won't have to worry about that. I have to log in and make my video.
Fine, but I am not giving in to this fake-ass totalitarian bullshit. Oh, fudge. I can't even curse. What makes me think I'll be able to create a real platform?
Scene 2. The next day. Minnie is in the kitchen cooking. Elizabeth enters carrying 2 black outfits and jewelry, hangs the dresses up where Minnie can see, and puts the jewelry down.
Minnie? Minnie! Come here for a sec.
Dinner's not going to be ready until tomorrow morning if you keep interrupting.
Here are the next 2. Which one of these do you like better?
They look the same as the ones before.
No, they don't. Maybe I should try them on for you. Then you'll be able to see the difference. And I have another one that's off the shoulder.
How many black dresses do you have?
I came prepared. You can at least pretend to give me some competition during this challenge. Clearly, I'm going to win, but I don't want it to feel like you're giving it to me. You haven't scheduled a single date with Shay Benz, not even virtually.
I'm cool.
We had the best date last night. Did you watch it?
No.
It got steamy. I gave him a massage.
That's not creepy.
He's really nice for an older, more mature man.
I'm sure he says the same thing about you. I'm pleasantly surprised your tits aren't as saggy as I thought an older woman's would be.
That's not funny. You know I hate that word.
Older woman.
Tits. It rhymes with spits.
And hits.
And pits.
And shits. Ah!
I think I'll wear my pearls. They'll set off the black. Give me a classic, sophisticated look.
And who doesn't want to look classy and sophisticated while being bribed to make out with a guy old enough to be your dad?
What is your problem?
Are the cameras on?
They aren't supposed to turn back on until 8 when Shay arrives, but I can't really tell.
That's part of my problem.
You need to loosen up. I'll open some wine, put on some music. I can't even finish cooking because it smells like that fish you were cooking is bad.
It's chicken.
Yikes. No worries. We can ask Rodrigo to order out for us. By the time we go live with dinner, it'll look like you made this beautiful dinner.
I could care less about dinner.
We've gone over this. On the days it's your turn to cook, it needs to at least appear that you've cooked. Viewers appreciate a woman that can cook and clean and keep a man, and they control the votes.
Do they?
I don't have time for this right now.
I thought that you cared.
I do.
Minnie grabs a knife from the counter and walks over to Elizabeth, holding up the knife. Elizabeth looks at her but doesn't move.
Stop playing dress up, or else.
Or else what?
Or else your little black dresses will turn into little black pieces.
You wouldn't dare.
Minnie drops the knife.
You give up too easily. So I spoke to my mother last night. They started garnishing her wages, to pay off the medical bills. So she cannot get her voting app turned back on yet.
10 years ago, if someone had said that our democracy would turn into this, we would have sworn that they were lying.
It's okay. She's about to start a second job, so pretty soon she'll be able to register again. Plus, I don't really need her vote. I'm way ahead of you, and you've pretty much given up on this challenge.
As long as you get a seat in Congress and work to bring out change, that was the deal. A woman of color has never become America's favorite feminist in any district, ever.
Did you hear about the candidates for the 27th district? All 10 women got kicked off of the show. They found out that the women were working on an underground campaign to end voter suppression.
Well, that's not going to happen to us.
2 of the women were thrown in jail.
And I bet those 2 feminists weren't black.
The entire cast was replaced so quickly that voters didn't even realize that it was a different group of women.
This madness has got to stop. Men don't have to compete to get into Congress. Not like this. But women, we literally have to jump through hoops.
That was my favorite challenge.
Oh, the things I had to do to get on this show.
You made it this far. Keep playing the game and acting normal, or whatever this is. We cannot start acting all Susan B. Anthony and Ethel Smythe.
Ethel who?
She wrote the anthem for the suffrage movement. Do you want to hear it?
Stop. I believe you. Jeez. Well, I guess you need to start a new women's anthem after this challenge. Oh. Shake, shake, shake your booty, whether it's big or flat.
Not that flat.
Yeah, well, I am more of a lift every voice and sing kind of gal. You know, the Hallie Quinn Brown type.
My turn to say who?
You know, I used to tell good liberal white folks such as yourself to turn to Wikipedia. Since it's banned, I guess I can oblige. When I got arrested for trying to have the Confederate statue taken down back in 2020, I wanted to give up. I believed what I was fighting in and all of that, but I lost my job because of it. My manager saw me on the news at a Black Lives Matter rally and said that I was supposed to be at work. I wasn't even scheduled that day, but it didn't matter. By the time I was released on bail, I had been fired. Then, because of the stress and the anxiety and fear, my hair began falling out in clumps. And I kept going though, and during one of the protests, some asshole coughed and spat right in my face. I was living with my aunt and my parents at that time, and COVID-19 could have been the death of any of them, but especially my Aunt Hallie. That was it. It wasn't worth it. Then my aunt reminded me about the woman that she was named after.
A black and white photo of a black woman holding a white baby appears on stage.
In 1923, United Daughters of the Confederacy wanted to erect a statue of Mammy holding a white baby.
Like the black women in that old movie, The Help.
Not like that, yeah, at all. Because in this real life story, black women fought for themselves, as we always have. Hallie Quinn Brown organized and fought, and that disrespectful fake ass Mammy statue was never built. If she could do that in 1923, a time when white women could finally vote, but black women still had to follow the laws of Jim Crow, then I could get my butt back out there and fight so that future generations didn't have to look up to men who were rapists at best and murderers at their worst.
Fudge. Remind me not to ask you who unless I'm prepared for a dissertation. Definitely need a drink after that. The movies always made Mammy seem so loving. I know now that it's probably wrong, but growing up, I didn't want a fairy godmother. I wanted the sassy, big black Mammy, the kind that wore a head wrap and would love me and take up for me no matter what. She would tell me, "You is pretty, you is smart."
You is trippin'.
I said that was when I was little. I know better now.
Do you? Mammy wasn't real, and neither is any of this. Do you know how much money is being made off of sex trafficking in our district alone? Do you know how many children go missing while our government ignores the pleas from their families? Yet the media spins it that these are children who are promiscuous. They flip the script just like they did with black women being happy, sassy, hardworking mammies. These babies are the victims. And our society chooses to protect dirty old men instead. And here you are, being fine with just letting them pimp us out to some old-ass white pervert.
I think I'll wear the pearls. This way, you can notice them and say that they're your pearls, or, better yet, say that they are your mama's pearls and that I stole them from your room. You can snatch them off my neck. The sound of pearls falling to the floor is always dramatic. Are you paying attention? I know you hate the fight scenes, but we have to fight on the next episode. People are starting to lose interest, and if our ratings keep dropping, Crow will murder both of us. Make sure that when you snatch the pearls, though, you don't scratch me this time. I thought black girls knew how to fight. The last time you scratched me something horrible. The marks on my arms are still there. See? Minnie, come on. You have to get yourself together, sweetie.
Stop it! I don't need any of your fake ass sympathy. Every morning before I open my eyes and say a prayer, I plead to the gods that this new social media totalitarian world isn't real. The gods aren't there. Here we are stuck in this long nightmare, still unable to breathe, still in fear. Our families can't vote. Our schools are a joke. And we have had the same commander-in-chief for 10 years. Each year becoming harder and harder. Any black person who steps out of line gets murdered or imprisoned. Poor people trying to live are just getting sicker. Who has the strength left to fight? My tears are the only thing that let me know I'm still alive. You can't taste tears in hell.
If you would just maybe wear better outfits, try smiling more, you know?
What is there to smile about? Up until now, the challenges were annoying, silly. I had hope. But this, I will not become America's favorite prostitute.
You might want to copyright that. That show will rank #1 in no time.
Did I ever show you a picture of my cousin Tracy?
Not this again.
Minnie pulls out her phone to show pictures of Tracy to Elizabeth.
This one is my favorite. It was taken right after the second quarantine ended. A lot of bars and clubs were still closed, so we went to this little hood spot called After Midnight. I was 20 and Tracy was 17, but of course we still got in. We danced all night, just happy to finally be out of the house and together and around people. The country was finally going to have a real election. This was before the mail-in ballots were banned. It was the night of hopes. No worries, no masks, no police shootings. As we were leaving the club, this woman approached us, said that she'd been watching us all night. She asked if we wanted to make some money dancing for her friends. I was like, oh, hell no, but Tracy, her and her family were pretty much homeless at this time, just living from place to place or out of their car, so any money was good money to her. I tried to keep her from going. It was the last time I ever saw her. Alive, anyway. So, you'll have to excuse me if I don't find the idea of sex trafficking humorous.
I can't wait for Shay Benz to get here. Bitch, are you burning rotten fish? You cannot have the entire house smelling like rotten fish just because it's my night to be with him and not yours.
It's chicken.
Scene 3. Minnie is alone in the living room. Minnie talks directly to the camera. She's live.
Americans, all Americans started to take it for granted. Something else that you could do if you wanted to once you turned 18. No big deal. Then the presidential election of 2020 was postponed indefinitely, indubitably. Polling places were no longer safe, and slowly it became illegal to congregate. Mail-in ballots were prevented in most states, and the Postal Service seemed and was deemed out of date. Why use snail mail when you can use email? Do you remember that campaign? Now, you can only vote if you can afford it. And even then, only if you know how to use it. Sure, sometimes the downloaded application doesn't work, But when it first started, how many of us disputed it? We gave it the same half-hearted social media posts that we give school shootings, police shootings, missing children, hate crimes of all kinds, sending prayers and positivity to the voters who can no longer vote. Some of us even thought that that was a joke. We took it for granted what our ancestors fought for, we should have cherished. Now it's my turn to stand and cry, ain't I a woman? I never had babies stripped from my arms and sold to a different farm. Sojourner carried that burden for me, for us. I'm sickened by what has become of us. We've wasted their marches, feet soft and warm in Ugg boots. We've wasted their years of being shamed. Those women stood up, even when it meant standing in the back. Bodies were beaten and broken, but they didn't choose that. We have wasted their minds and their words, and we have all but let their spirits die. It is time to rise. It is time for revolution. It's time to remember what they taught. In the words of Harriet Tubman, tell the women to stick together. God is fighting for them, and all will be well. I know that they are going to cut this stream soon, so we don't have much time. We are meeting tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock at 3rd and Columbus Boulevard. We will march to City Hall. It is time for us to demand that all Americans, especially the disenfranchised Americans of District 7, have the right to vote. No one should have to pay to be allowed to vote. It is their way of keeping us oppressed. And as long as
enters in her black dress and stilettos, crosses in front of Minnie, and Minnie stops talking. Elizabeth walks over to the sofa, takes off her stilettos, and begins to really rub her feet.
You know that I'm live, right?
My feet are killing me.
Liz, I only have a few minutes left on the stream. Can't you go to your room?
Elizabeth is still playing with her feet, stops and smells her hand.
Ew, that's gross.
They're my feet. It's only gross if you're smelling someone else's feet.
Minnie turns off the camera.
Are you high?
I'm tired.
You're also early. Wait, what happened?
Curfew's been moved up to 10 o'clock tonight, so I'm actually right on time.
We don't have to abide by curfew. What happened?
It was fine. I'm fine. I thought that we were going to a restaurant, but we went to his place instead.
But the camera crew was with you. All dates are supposed to be filmed.
Shay wanted us to get some alone time.
Did he try something? I knew it. I knew that sick bastard was going to try something.
Calm down. Nothing happened that I didn't want to happen.
No. We have to go to the authorities.
We don't have to do anything. I'm fine. And I'm not your cousin. And I don't need you to save me. God, look at you. You came onto a reality TV show thinking that this would somehow be your in to saving people. The show is a farce. This world that we are living in is like an episode of The Twilight Zone on steroids. Yet, you are crazier than anything the government can throw at us because somehow you believe that you can outsmart the powers that be. You believe that you can start a revolution and save an entire nation. And you believe that you can do it what? By winning or fooling the people on a reality game show? You're ludicrous. And that little stunt that you pulled tonight is going to land you in the same place that all your heroes landed, in jail or dead.
Scene 4, living room. Spotlight on Crow.
Crow's back in the place to be. Now, I'm feeling a little bit old school right now. Who is ready for the R&B? Alrighty. Get ready for the segment that we call Ratchet and Bitchy. These feminists are not your grandmama's feminists. They will slap you with a slice of jelly bread faster than you can say Skippy. That's right. Elizabeth and Minnie are beefing. We knew that it would come down to this. You can't throw a hot, rich guy into the mix and expect bitches to not act like, well, bitches. Well, While we wait for them to join us, by all means, drop in lines of love and, of course, shade in the chat box below. Maybe, if you're lucky, I'll bless your words with my delicious lips by reading it out loud. And don't forget to keep sending in those votes too. Vote well, vote often, vote as much as you like. Our scoreboards can take a beating. Oh, here comes Elizabeth.
Elizabeth enters, giving a pageant wave as she crosses. She's dressed fashionably, still wobbly rocking stilettos.
Elizabeth, girl, look at your numbers. You are killing this challenge like those stilettos are no doubt killing your feet. A birdie on camera told me that you were catchy, heavy feelings for Mr. Hoffman.
A true feminist never reveals her true feelings.
Votes drop.
But you know, I can't lie. That's another reason why I'm the perfect congresswoman to represent our district.
Yeah. I love the 4th of July too. What we need to know is, have you let Hoffman hit it yet? Oh, don't act coy now, you little slut. The cameras were off on your date, which can only mean one thing. You tell Khor every nasty little detail.
What I'm trying to say is that.
Oh, just spit it out. I love us voters love a freak. And our Prez loves a freak too. He'll definitely grab your panties. It's not a requirement for Congress, but it helps.
I don't kiss and tell.
Boring. Well, folks, it looks like Miss Elizabeth ain't gonna give us what we want. On to part 2 of this challenge by special request from the Commander-in-Chief. It's time for the thong challenge. Now, I told y'all fools that I'm feeling mighty 80s today. Where is Minnie so that we can commence to seeing some asses shake?
Wait, I have something better than my date with Shay.
Oh, better than big booty hoes? Well, in your case, just hoe. Oh, come on, this crow don't call, so come on, spill the wine.
Minnie is.
Viewers are logging off. Hurry up, and this better be good.
Last night, Minnie went on a live private feed and organized a protest for this evening. She tried to get me involved as well. I tried to talk her out of it. I told her that it's illegal, but she wouldn't listen.
All the passion that is in our fruit, I hate this godforsaken job. You bitches are in it deep.
Me? What? I didn't do anything wrong.
So, what's supposed to be about you? Both of you giving details about your dates with Shay Bands and T&A. I was specific in my instructions for today's episode. Be explicit, graphic, sex sells. People want to know how big, how much, and how often. They want to be able to damn near smell it. And if they don't get it, we get canceled. Voters for this show are perverted and could care less about Minnie going all social activist. You want to be a Karen and snitch on black folks? You should have done that before we went live.
What happens now?
Oh, what happens now? How in the name of crop tops am I supposed to know?
Elizabeth tries to sit in the chair, takes off one of her stilettos, and throws it across the room. Scene 5. Minnie is sitting in a jail cell, rubbing her feet. Elizabeth enters on the opposite side of the bars.
I asked them to give you a private cell. Those chicks in Gen Pop are rough. You'd never survive it. Could be worse. I heard a lot of the protesters got.
Minnie raises her head, revealing that she's been beaten by the police.
Oh, Minnie, I'm so sorry. I won. Once I'm sworn in, I swear that I'll make this right. I'll get you out of here. Shay and I will make certain of it. Well, I have to go. Mark, Shay is waiting on me. We have a few interviews to do today. But I put my foot down and said I had to come see my friend first. I'll be back soon. I promise.
End of play.
Girl, this is crazy. I can't believe all of the things they say about me. Walk in the room, they going.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight and joining PWTF's production of America's Favorite Feminist by Keenya Jackson. Let's give another round of applause. Yes. Wonderful, wonderful. So I'm seeing that our chats are totally heating up right now. I also want to let y'all know that we have a Q&A section of Zoom. So it should be at the bottom of your screen. So if you have a question that you would like to ask our playwright or our actors, feel free to leave it either in the comments. If you can't find that, that's totally okay. If you can't find the Q&A, just leave it in the chat and I will read your question. So I will, while you guys get some ideas going, I would love to start out the questions. First, I would love to start off by addressing Ms. Jackson. It's been very, very wonderful to have our playwright in our rehearsals with us. That's one of my favorite, all-time favorite things. And it's just so wonderful to have a wonderful voice, wonderful, strong POC voice like yourself in this community. We are so grateful for you.
Thanks, Marissa. It's been great. It's a
Course.
great experience. And the
Wonderful.
cast did an awesome job. They were great tonight.
Yes, they were wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So I have a quick question for you. So this play dealt with so many troubling topics, from racism to gender roles to voting rights to the state of our country. So I mean, I've been wondering this whole time, was there like anything in particular that was just like, I mean, it was all daunting to me, but was there like anything in particular that was just like, while you were writing it, you were like, oh my God, like I can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I think the quarantine definitely amplified the writing of it, because you just almost feel so hopeless while you're going through it. So my mind state was like, God, like what if we never get out of this? Like, what if we're stuck with this same president? I really do believe that it would turn into, it already feels like I'm on an episode of a reality TV show, or like Elizabeth said, like, in the Twilight Zone, and you just can't get out. And then if we go through this, if people don't vote, for Biden and Kamala, then Chris, who knows what it's going to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All we can do, I mean, as artists, all we can do is keep speaking our truths. I'm a firm believer that art is one of the best ways of getting our words across to the world. It's a wonderful way to connect with communities. So again, I thank you for writing such a touching work. Yeah, so I will ask one more question. Actually, no, we have a question from one of last year's playwrights.
Oh, nice.
Lovely to see you again, Dory. So Dory has said that this was one of their favorite shows they've probably seen ever.
Oh,
Also.
wow. Thank you so much.
So they have a question for you, Keenya.
Mhm.
How did you come to decide on the ending, and what is your ideal takeaway for audience members?
So how I came up with the ending was just, sometimes your characters just start to speak to you. So I really felt like the character Elizabeth was just trying to survive. Like, I think both characters, Minnie and Elizabeth, struggle through a lot of things in this play, and actually going through the rehearsals really helped me to unpack just how much each character is struggling. So I think with Elizabeth, all the trauma that she has, some people don't know she hasn't come to grips with that trauma yet. So I really think that she just decided that this was her way of surviving, was to snitch out her coworker, basically. And that's, in this world, that's what happened. That's what's happening now to protesters. Protesters are getting beaten in the street. They're being thrown in jail. It's like we're revisiting a lot of the things that happened, 50 years ago, and it just keeps coming up. So I really think that that's how I came to the ending of it.
Great, thank you for that question. So I'm just gonna read right down my chat here. We've got a few questions. The next question from PWTF's own Kristen Curley. Another question for you, Keenya. Why did you decide to set this in 2026?
Because I feel like it's time for people to realize that if we don't change, it's just gonna get worse. So that was the reasoning I didn't want to tell a story where I was teaching about what happened in history, but maybe something where I could give a little bit of history and then sort of tell a new story that this is one way that it might turn out if he remains in office. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Our next question from an audience member named Caitlin. They know that you revised this play after COVID and the quarantines, but did you make any specific changes for Zoom?
So yeah, we made some specific changes for Zoom because a lot of the things that are going on were really physical, and it's hard to do on Zoom since actors aren't in the same room. So you kind of try to tweak it so that it can be done on this platform. So I changed it somewhat, but I really think Elisa, the director, she was the one who really got it Zoom ready.
Another question, will there be a part 2?
Maybe. I really do love the characters in this. So and I love them even more now after watching this and watching these actors bring it to life. I'm in awe of the actors. Y'all just hit it right. Y'all hit every line, hit it right on the head. They just brought so much life to it. So maybe.
Next question from Sabrina. Keenya, do you envision producing this on stage once it's safe?
Hopefully, that would be nice. Yeah, can't wait to get back into theater. So hopefully someone will pick it up.
And then we have a question from John Mullaney. Question for each member of the cast. What was the most fulfilling aspect of working on this production? Always a difficult question.
I feel like the most fulfilling thing to me was being in a piece and also part of a larger festival that that is touching on the most relevant issues of our time right now. Prior to as I was entering into the world as an actor after college several years ago, I knew I always wanted to be part of plays that had some kind of relevant message, and then the byproduct would hopefully be entertaining, but that wasn't the point. The point would be the messages. And in my professional career thus far, sometimes it feels like you may be part of projects that don't speak to what your artist thesis is, like why you do this. So I just feel so grateful to Keenya for such an incredible and relevant script to be in. It feels really powerful and horrible to be living in this dystopian world that we all said in rehearsal isn't so far off. So the relevancy was really powerful as an actor. So thank you, Keenya, for that.
Yeah, I can definitely echo a lot of what Steph was saying. To be involved in a show with such an amazing Black female character who speaks her, unabashed, unbridled truth is really amazing. I mean, she just, I love this play in general. I love the character of Minnie. She just speaks her truth and just gets so many things out there, even though she knows that there's going to be consequences to what she's saying and what she's doing, and she ultimately doesn't care, because she wants to see change happen, and she's going to do everything in her power to make it happen, no matter the consequences. I love that. We need more roles like this.
And for myself, I would say that I also really appreciated how the play shined a light on the traumas of both women, Minnie obviously, but also Elizabeth, and how I feel that a lot of people are victims of the system just as much as that kind of suffer silently. So I appreciate the fact that we extend awareness and I feel ultimately empathy to those people as well. Yeah, that was very rewarding for me.
Great, thank you. So we have so many comments, just giving back pats to everyone, including our stage manager for the stellar cue calling. Yes. Performers being fantastic. Yes. We have another question from our very own Anne from our board. For the cast, how did it feel to be a part of a 10-year Trump dystopia?
Something that we were talking about in rehearsal is there are moments where you forget that it's set in the future, because the reality that they're in, unfortunately, doesn't feel too far off. It's maybe a percentage point more ridiculous than the world we're actually living in now. So yeah, living in a Trump dystopia 10 years in the future sucks. We're living in one currently, so not too far off.
Next question. Well, first I have to say we have someone who has said Keenya for president 2024. Yes, yes, have my vote. So we have a question for our director, Elise. What spoke to you most when deciding to take this project on?
I'm very drawn to pieces that make you laugh uncomfortably, and this is certainly a show that makes you laugh uncomfortably. It was fun to watch people laugh uncomfortably. But it actually reminded me a lot of this book I'm reading right now called Octavia's Brood, which is this collection of science fiction stories that are geared towards social justice topics. And this seemed to fit right into that, this kind of alternate future or potential future, hopefully not. I saw a lot of people writing vote, vote, vote. I think this is a great reason to vote, vote, vote. But another thing that was wonderful to work on it, I mean, this was only a 23-page play, and when I was doing my prep for the show, my my lists and my fact collecting and my timelines were so extensive, like to the point where I thought I was working on like Shakespeare, which was what drew me to it, is how much she packs into this little 23-page play. And our discussion before even starting to work on it was so rewarding, that we all ended up having about intersectional feminism. And it's just, there's just so much. I wish we had more time.
Yes. Yeah. Next question. Question for the cast. Did you find it challenging to prepare for the play virtually? You guys did such an amazing job, as if it was not an issue.
So, okay, I've been using, sorry I keep talking first. Anyone else feel free to hop in. But I've been hearing this term thrown around, digital pioneer, in regards to the arts world and the theater world. And I like to think of all of us as digital pioneers, in a sense that since quarantine has happened, there's been so many opportunities as far as the theater world goes and being an actor. So this isn't the first Zoom production I've done. It won't be the last. And it's so lovely to be working with a really amazing team of people who are trying to figure out like best practices as we all navigate this kind of virtual performance world together.
Yeah, just to echo that, it's kind of funny how like during quarantine I'm like getting like more work than I normally would. It's so weird. I know. I was like, okay, great. But truth be told, I think one thing that is interesting is that doing it virtually, like doing it like I guess virtually also kind of mirrors. It's sort of like form mirroring the content, right? Because they're supposed to be doing like an interview reality TV show. So in that sense, it's kind of cool that we are sort of limited to being sort of talking heads, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, just as an actor, I think certainly for myself, I do miss being in the room, but I can see that the world of Zoom is certainly revealing a world of possibilities.
Yeah, there are just like small minor things that I feel like I've noticed when I've done Zoom performances of some kind, where I realized when I was off frame before coming in for my first entrance, I like had to have a floating hand in, which wasn't in the screen, but I was like, oh, I have to make sure I'm scrolled to the right page, because I'm technically challenged on a good day. So like, and in the same way, it would be like I would open my script to that same page and leave it backstage, so that way I could jump right in to the next scene if I wanted to refresh myself backstage. So the same things, but just a totally different interface, I think, come up.
We have another question from Teresa. For our cast members, where did you pull your characters from?
I feel like something that we talked about in rehearsal was the idea of, I felt like it definitely a hybrid was what I was trying to pull on, but a combination of people that I know in my life or have met before, / like a Taylor Swift, very much like, and sorry if there are any Taylor Swift people here, not trying to hate on her, but this idea of somebody who who oftentimes when they're speaking on issues that they deem that are important, kind of ensuring that they hold the microphone the whole time and them centering themselves. And that's sometimes, and I feel like Taylor Swift is such an outspoken person, which again, outspoken women, that is not the issue, but the issue of just somebody who oftentimes is trying to scream the loudest or talk the most quickly to fit in the most points. So yeah, so T Swift did come up a little bit in this kind of hybrid.
I think the thing I don't know if I based Minnie on any individual character, but we did talk about in rehearsal about trash reality TV shows. Like, I don't know if there's any Flava Flav fans here, but Flavor of Love or what is it? I Love You, New York. But I guess I was picturing, what if on one of those trash romance reality TV shows there was one voice of reason, like one normal character, so to speak. And I feel like Minnie is kind of navigating that world.
Just for myself, it's just watching a lot of YouTube and just the most obnoxious, internet personalities and sort of that sort of presentational, like Ryan Seacrest type, except like way worse and like exploitative and just awful, but still somehow like charming. I don't know how they do it. I don't know, but yeah.
Our next question, was the panelist applause in the original play? I don't know about anyone else, but the further the play went on, the less I wanted to clap. Valid.
So in the original play, it just says that the applause is, it's all just sound cues. And then through the rehearsal process, Elise was like, oh, we can, incorporate the audience in this, and it would give them a way of being a part of the play, and it did feel creepier as we went on, so that was great. And also, for me at least, like, I have a little bit of ADHD, so when I watch Zoom plays, it's different from watching a play that's staged, and I start to sometimes lose a little bit of interest. So if you feel like you're engaged and you're a part of it, then you can stay more active. And Elise and the cast, like, that was totally them and wanting to bring everyone in on this.
Sabrina has a question that this is actually pretty close to the second question that I had on hand, which is very funny. Steph and Nicky, did you find ways to relate to your characters, even though they may have had beliefs that are in contrast to your own? How do you approach that as an actor?
It was really important to, I think, all of us, that every single character, including Minnie, of course, but Minnie kind of goes without saying because she has such a correct moral compass, and the lines are more blurred for Elizabeth and Nicky. But something we talked about in rehearsal was making sure that there was some kind of well-roundedness, and some kind of way in, of course. So I think, I feel like especially right now with the continued protests and the continued Black Lives Matter movement moving forward, I think that we're seeing a lot of, and with the vote coming up, all of these things, the pandemic, we're seeing a lot of people expressing a variety of opinions, especially online. And I think it was interesting because you always, even no matter how flawed a character is, there are always ways in, and and there are elements to Elizabeth being well-intentioned that I can certainly relate to in past moments I've had as an ally or co-conspirator, I think that with Elizabeth, it just illuminates that you can be well-intentioned at some times, but still be performative, and still, and sometimes still have moments where you have to check what your true intention is. And I think that's something that we can all relate to. It was an important thing to balance for sure.
Yeah, going off kind of what Steph said, for me, like there's obviously Crow says some pretty awful things. Some like really heinous things. And I'm certainly not making any excuses for him or his behavior or for the show itself, but there are moments where he kind of drops the act. where he drops the act and lets in on the fact that he knows that this entire thing is a farce. The fact that like he's really pushing for ratings, pushing for more viewers. And I don't know. I think to me that he kind of speaks to that like Alex Jones, like crazy, like sort of person who sort of pushes to incite and to make people inflamed. It's tough, but as an actor, you sort of pick up, and you go approach it from their point of view and try to do them justice, even if you, or in this case, I certainly don't agree with anything he's about.
Now we have a comment. Amanda is so intrigued by the theme of reality versus reality TV versus truth and scripted, wondering where those lines are blurred.
So, yeah, I mean, it's something that I struggle with. Like I watch reality TV sometimes, and when I try not to watch too much of it, because when I do watch it, I get kind of drawn into it. And then like I think I was just watching Indian Matchmaker. And I was just like, this is so weird that I'm watching this. And it was so good. And then I like felt guilty for watching it. Like, is this weird thing that we go through when you're watching this stuff? And then at the same time, it's like, how does this, in some sort of way, this is messing with our consciousness, Like in some sort of way, we're feeding into all of this. So, and it starts to play out in our lives. It starts to play out on social media. So I think just like the lines are kind of blurred, and you start to lose sight of what is actually real and what isn't. So much more than before, when reality TV show was like limited to like game shows,
Thank you to our playwright and to our actors, and to everybody who joined us tonight. Thank you so much for being here. We hope to see you on September 10th at 8 p.m. on Zoom for an evening of one acts for works by Ang Bae, Megan Schumacher, Alice Eve Cohen, and Julie Zeffirano. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Marissa Faller. I am the artistic intern for PWTF this year and last year. And I thank you so much for supporting the arts and being here tonight with us. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.